What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy the Humble Savage, and today we are back with another Savage review. And on the chopping block today, what do we have? The long awaited Flight Fins GOAT. This thing showed up and we are out here at Clayton Park, our favorite spot to hit. Same spot we came and we did the tire review for the one wheel Future Motion Performance tire. So I figure, what better way to come and do a review at the same place? In all fairness, this board has not been updated yet. So it doesn't have custom shaping, so we can't tune this tire to run the way we'd like to. Now that we have custom shaping, you can tune any tire to feel the way you want to, essentially. At least that's how I feel. But yeah, we're gonna get out here. The other day I put up some initial rides. I went over into my local spot and I put up a review. Now we went out there, we had 16 psi in it, and then we just dropped it down by hitting it. When I got back, we were sitting at 8. Now, as you know, for a 215-pound rider, that's probably not my most ideal psi. It felt good. Meanwhile, you would hit a root here and there, and you would feel it hit the rim. So today it's all about dialing in what psi we want to run, and then really riding around and getting a true feel for what this tire is about. But I can tell you off the bat, the tread is amazing. But let's see how it behaves out in the woods. We're waiting for the homie Dan to show up. Once he gets here, we're on our way. So we'll see you on the trail. Alrighty, guys, we are back at the house after taking a nice ride on the new GOAT. I think we put in about 7 and some change miles this day. And now we're going to get into, the good and the bad when it comes to this tire. We'll start with the good, and then we'll make our way into the quirks that this tire has. So, first thing we'll start off is the good. And the good is actually a great thing. The tread on this tire is absolutely amazing. You finally have a true treaded tire to ride. As far as straight out the box, you slap it on, the amount of traction you're going to get in comparison to other tires on the market, like the Enduro or even the Future Motion Performance treaded. This tread is far superior than any of those. It's going to remind you of the treaded tire on the XR. Coming through this area right here is a spot where it can be tricky, it gets slippery, sometimes you slip out, even on the leaves and whatnot. Matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll cut in a clip right here from a spot out here that we get to later on, where this climb is always an issue getting up, especially the beginning part of this. And then as this climb continues on, there's a couple tricky spots that can get a little hairy. But this initial part that I just showed you, that part is always hard to get up, and you never get it every time. We looped this thing a couple times today, and I think I hit it almost every time. I missed it the first time, but every time after that, and walks up it with ease. But yeah, getting back to just ripping it and riding it around, hitting the trail, hitting This is Clayton Woods, one of my favorite spots. Same spot I've hit doing other tire reviews. So, even the board is not an updated board, so now we're back on what we'll call stock tune, because we have custom shaping now to do the update. And comparing it to performance treaded, comparing it to the Enduro, traction is out of this world. So honestly, that's the main thing the tire has going for it, is that we actually have treads and we have traction. Now, outside of that, we're kind of going to start getting into like the little quirks that the tire has. So first we're going to start with this middle bevel thing. I don't know, I reached out to them and they said that it's supposed to be a stability dip. Apparently it's supposed to add more contact patch on the ground. So far the tire feels great out here. It's a little... It makes me miss the 7-inch because it is like nimbly
but I don't know. It does well. Talk about a tire that can climb now. Good God.
Supposed to not give that the tire that like tippy turvy, nimbly like type feeling that we kind of like, and honestly that I would want now that I have traction. Because where that becomes an issue is when you don't have traction, the tire can get a little slippy on you on the trail. But when you got treads, I want the tire to actually, roll out on its edge versus roll over on its edge, if you can understand what I'm saying there. This tire, I don't know if it's the middle bevel or the shape of the tire in itself, but instead of rolling or, planing out on an edge of the tire, it rolls over on its edge more than anything. Now, you can drop the PSI and get it to plane out in a way, but now you're at a point where the PSI is so low, if you hit roots and rocks, you're going to hit your rim on the rocks. So I found that 13 PSI is the money PSI for me to run at 215. 13 and a half would probably be the best, because you will hit a root and a rock here and there at 13. 13 and a half, dial you up even more, and honestly, if you can go in between on the decimals, it might even be something like 13.3 might be the best, So it's like, just play with your pressure numbers, and figure out what's going to work best for you. Here's another area where, climbing is a key factor in this tire. Coming up to a spot where this is just pretty much a progressive climb coming up. But yeah, the treads help this thing climb. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So yeah, this middle bevel, I don't know exactly what it's supposed to do, but like I said, the tire doesn't go out on an edge. Like, to give you a comparison, like the Enduro and the Performance Treaded from Future Motion. Now, the Performance Treaded from Future Motion, you feel it a lot more, especially if you run Lifesavers on it. When you carve out and you get out on the edge, you can feel the edge really like reach out and flatten out. Same with the Enduro when we first got it. That was the first tire we had like an edge. Once you get on the edge, you can stay at that point of the tire and ride on it if you want. The Goat doesn't do that. The Goat, when you lean out on the edge, it starts to go on edge, but then it wants to pull the tire back to the middle. Don't know if it's just because of the general shape of the tire, because it is a more square profile. Honestly, it reminds me of a thing with treads on it. So yeah, I don't know if it's the general profile of the tire or if it's the center bevel thing pulling us back towards center. But I noticed, like, going around certain turns and curves and whatnot, you go to put input into the tire to roll in, and it would roll in initially, but then want to pull you back out of the turn.
How you doing? Good.
You get used to it, and you learn to just like overpower the tire a little bit, and that's mainly because of the treads. Like, the treads enable you to mob the tire and do kind of whatever you want. I personally, in all my reviews, as you guys know, I'm dreaming of the perfect like race tire. Like, I want that ultimate tire that's going to enable us to get out on trails, hit the berms, hit the turns, be it flat, be it banked turns, whatever. A tire that has like an all-around hybrid capabilities. Until we get into a world where we're making and have specific tires for specific applications, and that might be a world now where we're carrying around multiple hubs with different tires. This is me thinking futuristic, like way out in the future. Like, that could be a thing. Swapping your hub is a lot easier, and it's cheaper than trying to have like 9 boards in your clipper just to have different ride types, But yeah. What else is there to get into with this time? I'm trying to remember. There was another something that I wanted to bring up with it. when it comes to compound, the compound is great. I'll give them that. It could afford to go a little softer, maybe. Going a little softer might enable the tire to plane out more on the edge like I'm looking for. So that might be something to consider, maybe like the Future Tire or any other companies out there that are going to be making tires. That's something to think about. Like, are we getting treads and then can it get out on an edge while having treads, or are we just putting treads on a block that needs to roll over in order to utilize those treads a little bit more? But I would say, all in all, the tire, I mean, the history that this tire created for itself, unfortunately, is not one of the most positive. Like, we ordered the tire thinking that the tires were made and ready to go, and we were doing a pre-order and not a situation that was more like a GoFundMe, essentially, or a startup. Because with a pre-order, you expect a pre-order, and then you expect some months to go by, and then, you get your product. But a whole year. Now, in all fairness, I guess there are other things in the world where you put in for a pre-order and it takes longer to get you, like the Tesla truck, for instance. That was a whole pre-order thing, but people haven't seen the Tesla truck in years yet. It's finally coming around. But so, I mean, I guess there is that factor, but for something that supposedly was visually, I botched that, visually, put in front of us as a tire that is ready to go, and then a year later we get it and it's got its quirks. So the other thing I wanted to say, this first batch of tires, I don't know what it is, but there's a hump in the tire, and I reached out to them and I let them know about the tire, and they actually said that they have other tires there that have humps in them as well. So if you get a tire and you get out on the street and you go ride it, and it's got a whoop, 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 reach out to them and let them know. So that way they know to, at least change something with their, quality control or whatever. So then that way they can get on the ball with us, so that way we're not getting tires with humps in them. Now, I will be honest, on the trail, it's not as big of a deal as it is when you get out on the street. But my main thing is, for a tire that's been in a year of development, a year of production, for us to be waiting this long after putting our money out, we kind of expect to get something perfect. We kind of expect to get the cream of the crop of the tire. And in all honesty, they kind of set themselves up for, I won't say failure, but they set themselves up for that, as far as just now it's going to be under the scrutiny of, like, it took you guys a year to get this to us, and this is what we got type deal. And again, it's a good tire. We're going to ride it some more. We're going to, break it in, see if maybe our, those edges maybe start to soften up a little bit more, and start to lean in a little bit more to where we want them and like them. Who knows? Oh, the other thing, which the only thing I would change about this tire, like once we were to figure out all the other things that I've talked about, is I'm missing the width of the 7-inch. Future Motion going with a 7-inch tire was the greatest thing that they ever could have done. And I actually like that tire a lot now, especially after having custom shaping. You can tune it to, ride the way you want to. The tire may not itself out the box perform the way you want it to. You can tune any tire now to kind of ride the way you like. Which I'm excited for with the GOAT as well, because once the GOAT comes, or once I custom tune and put it on this board, I'll be able to do that with the GOAT, and the GOAT will rip. It'll actually roll the way I want it to, because I can set it up to do so. So my review is based on comparing all the tires when they were on the boards when we didn't have a custom shape, because it wasn't too far off that I had the performance tire on this board, no custom shape. If the GOAT was a 7-inch wide tire, I forget what width it is. I think it might be a 6, maybe a 6.5. I want to say 6 inches, but they went with them. If the GOAT was 7 inches, it would be ridiculous. 7 inches, get rid of that center bevel thing and give us a little more nimbly of a tire. Because the thing is, if we want a less nimble tire, I can reduce the tire pressure. So don't force me to have a less nimble tire off the bat. Give me a normal tire like what we're used to. The other thing is, if this is something that is actually an attribute of the tire, it might be nice to announce it and say it in, the description of the tire when you're promoting it. Like, oh, new feature, center dip for stability, yada, yada, yada. Because when people get that, they're going to look at it like a flaw. Like, we're expecting to get a normal looking tire like we always get, more rounded in the middle, or it's going to be flat across the top because it's not a round tire. So that's the other thing I would say. It's like 7-inch, change the profile, maybe slightly softer compound on the outer edges so that way, it planes out more and gets out on an edge. And we might be dialed in on something pretty dope. So that's it so far on this tire review. We'll have a final review eventually, just like the performance tire from Future Motion. That final review is coming up. I'll be doing that soon, where we get out and give our overall review after really putting miles on it. Again, this review here, just like the initial performance tire review, was like an initial first rides type of review with 30 miles in on the performance tire, like the first. And as I'm editing, I realized this is where my mic died. But good thing is I was pretty much done saying what I was going to say about this tire. At this point now, we're just going to take our time, put some miles on the tire, different terrains, and then we'll see you guys back in about 100 miles for a final review on the GOAT. So, hope this video helped you guys out, just in some general, first ride information. Very detail oriented. I dive into things others might not. So, yeah, give it a like, give me a subscribe, stick around. We got more content coming. So, peace out, y'all. Stay humble, stay hungry, and you'll always remain humbly savage.